YouTube, what's going on? So I got a ton of people demanding that I do a review on a digital sports watch. Everyone liked the Seiko Sport 5 video that I did, so thank you very much for all of your support. Thanks for all of the likes. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. Maybe if people like it, I'll do some more reviews of some more things. So I just want to do a brief review, but give you some detail. You know, sport watches and fitness bands have become really popular. People are starting to become more conscious about their health and about using technology to optimize the way they engage in physical activities. And so there's a ton of stuff on the market. And when I was looking for something, I found that there was just so many different products out there. It was just completely saturated. And, I had to spend a lot of time, like I do, to research different products and figure out which product was really the right one for me based on what it is that I wanted to do. And, I generally like to do that with most of the things that I buy. You'll notice that from some of the other reviews that I put up. I think it's important to be an informed consumer, find out really what the best deal is and really which product is of the best quality for the price that you're willing to pay. Because there are a lot of junky products on the market, but then there are also a lot of really great finds. This watch, is it junky or a great find? In my opinion, after having owned it for a little over 7 months, it's definitely a great find. It's one of those top quality watches. It really lives up to the advertisement. And for the price, I paid $100 for this, like $110 for this. Honestly, you can't beat it for the features that it has. Okay, so let's just cut to the chase. What does this do and what does it not do? This watch is really intended for people who run or who want their location tracked, right? So the reason why this watch might be different from like a Fitbit is that this actually has a GPS chip in the watch. And so like something in here connects to a satellite, and that satellite will track your location. And for instance, if I'm going to run, and I'll show you how you do all this. I set this up in the activity menu. It shows a runner, and you see GPS. It's actually looking for a GPS signal right now. And as soon as it hits 100, it'll say okay. It means it's locked in. And then what you do is you click this button, and it starts recording. So it's really, originally I thought it was just intended for runners. Now I run about 4 or 5 times a week, and I do most of my running indoor on a treadmill. So why would I need one of these watches? Well, I was doing some outside running, and but the really special thing about this watch is the app and all of the data that you get from this. So when I run, even if I run on a treadmill, I get distance because of an advanced pedometer inside this watch actually knows how many steps I've taken, and it's pretty much spot on to what the treadmill has told me. It gives me total calorie burn. It gives me the total percent of calories burned from fat. So you want to actually know not only how many calories are you burning, but where do those calories come from? A lot of other watches and a lot of other Fitbits just don't do that. So this in my opinion is a very precise machine, very precise device. And it's for people who want that added layer of precision to sort of really take control of their workouts or their health goals. And so that's one of the really great things about it. The other great thing about it is, as you can see, when you plug this into your computer, it syncs online. So it will open up a web page and will have an entire portal there for you where you can pretty much program anything, any kind of different activity, and give you default screens while you're engaged in that activity. So for instance, I have running in here. I have treadmill running in here, which just shuts the GPS off because it just wastes battery. I have tennis, which I play a lot of. Walking, which I do a lot of walking, but commuting. I don't usually use this to track, but you can if you want. Yoga occasionally. By the way, an amazing job, and realize that that yoga burns a ridiculous amount of calories, which I didn't realize. And judo. And I'll tell you about this in a little bit. I actually don't do judo, but there's a reason why it's on here, and just you'll notice the GPS. So anyway, basically what you can do is you can customize your screens and then sync this watch. So I have my running set up like this, And I have it set up to show me distance, time elapsed, and my average pace. But then for each activity, you get 4 screens. So if I want to move to the next screen, it'll show me heart rate, my max, average, and then total calories burned. Here on my third screen, I have altitude, total ascent, so how far have I gone up, and total descent. And then lastly, I have the average pace that's taking up half of the screen, and then a zone pointer for my heart rate. So when I'm running, you'll actually see a little heart in one of these zones, so you know if you're sort of going too hard or if you need to speed up a little bit. Anyway, it's an amazing watch. You cancel it or you stop the workout to save it like that. This was a really short training session. Do I want to save it? No. Like that. Boom. So I just think this watch is amazing. And in addition to telling you the time, the date, and the day, this little bar here tells me my daily activity throughout the day so I can see whether or not I've met my fitness goal. So it already does everything a Fitbit does, plus so much more. All right, so there's my detailed activity. My diary, so this tracks all of my different workouts that I've had. So I played tennis on Sunday, and I'll show you what it actually looks like. All right, so this was my daily activity. I played tennis for a long time, over 2 hours straight. So this is what it gives you after you finish your workout. It tells you the calories, and it gives you a little trophy if it's the most amount of calories you've ever burned in that sport. So I guess I played for a long time. I usually only play for about an hour and a half. The start time, and it actually will tell you what sort of training benefit you got from this. All right. So I got steady state training. What's steady state training? Well, it's a long session. It improves your endurance, your muscular endurance, and your aerobic fitness. It also increases your resistance to fatigue. Awesome. You go down. So this will give you the heart rate zones, and it will actually tell you how much time you spent in each zone, the max and the minimum heart rate. Sorry, the max and the average heart rate, which is always good to know. So you can kind of keep track of how you're progressing physically. And then total calories. So I burned quite a lot here, over 1,300 calories. And it's telling me based on my heart rate, which is computed, right? It was tracking my heart rate over time, that about 34% of that burn is coming from fat. So that makes sense to me because my heart rate was a little higher. Tennis can be an intense sport. And so your body is less likely to use fat because it takes a longer time to break that down and use it for energy. So it's more likely to use any sort of sugars or proteins in your body, which are easier to break down. But that gives you a rough idea of what you did. So those are the screens. Really, really awesome. I can't show you what the iOS app looks like, but let me tell you something. It's super detailed. It will give you heart rate by the 10-second tick over the entire course of your workout. It will tell you your actual distance if you have GPS on. It will tell you total number of steps, total calories burned, whether or not you were inactive for a period of time. So this gives you an actual an alert. It will say it's time to move if you've been sitting for like an hour or so. And it's a nice reminder. You get up, you just walk around for 2 minutes, sit back down. And a whole bunch of other stuff. It tracks your daily, your weekly, and your monthly progress. So you can see how you've been doing over time. And you can export all of the data to Excel. I like playing around with data, so it's really cool. Two other things. This thing tracks sleep really, really well. And on days I wake up, I wake up a little crabby or a little tired, I immediately go to my iOS app, and I've learned to trust it because it's right. And I see right there, it tells me not only how many times I've slept, how many hours I've slept, but whether or not my sleeping is actually, that's a buddy texting me actually. So that's another thing it does. It actually syncs to your phone, either Android or Apple. I'm using an iPhone, and it will show you text messages here, just like an Apple Watch. You actually have to respond to it on the phone, but it at least lets you know whether or not you have emails, whether or not you have text messages, and even when you're getting a call, you can silence or answer the call right from your watch, which is really, really great. You can, of course, turn all of this off, so you don't have to get any notifications if you don't want. What I was saying about sleeping is it tracks total number of hours sleep that you slept, but it also tracks how many of those hours were restful, right? So I guess it's trying to calculate how many of those hours were actually being used to put your body into REM and actually, get some productive sleep. Here's the back of it. Really simple, really cool design. There is no plug here to cap this off. It's completely waterproof. That's just how you wear it. It's awesome. I haven't had any problems with it at all. I charge it about once every 25 days, so almost once a month. I don't even notice that I have to charge it. It's, you don't wear it for 6 hours, you plug it in. I think that's really cool. It almost has like a tactical design, which I think is awesome. It's very sturdy, it does not feel cheap. This is metal. It takes a micro USB. And here's this side. I love the red button. See if you can see it. I mean, I love the profile. I think it's awesome. It's super light. Like I play tennis with it, like I run with it. It's very, very light and very comfortable to wear. And I really like it a lot. It's very comfortable. Here's what it looks like on the wrist. It's cool. A lot of people compliment me on this watch. Okay, now to the final thing, like some cool life hacks or watch hacks you can do with this. It's not really a hack because you can set this up. You don't have to hack the software. So why do I have Judo on here? Well, if you notice, I have GPS set. When I hit that, it tells me two metrics the way that I have it set up. I have it set up for speed in miles an hour and altitude. Well, I actually use this when I'm on a plane because I think it's cool. And it actually will track, like right when we're on the runway about to take off, the pilot says, flight attendants, get ready for takeoff. I activate my Judo mode and it tracks my GPS and it will track the speed of the plane and the altitude. I mean, not very practical. You're sitting there in your seat, but I'm into planes. I think it's cool. And it's just sort of another example of sort of the versatility of the watch. It works really well. It does stop working up until you get to a certain altitude because at that point you probably lost the GPS signal and there's no way for it to compute speed or altitude. But for a while it does track speed and altitude. Like at one time I actually turned it on half an hour before we were landing and I could see the altitude dropping and I realized, okay, so I guess we're making our descent now. And we were, so really cool. Do I want to save this? No. Anyway, overall, for $100, $120, a fantastic watch, very high quality, a watch that will last you for as long as you want it to last. And really, I have no complaints about this watch. It's excellent. So if you're looking for a sport watch that not only helps you track your running, but also other activities like tennis or any other activity you do, and something that will measure your daily fitness when you're not engaged in those activities, it's something that's really reliable, has GPS in it, has an amazing iOS app, and tracks your sleep, and gives you notifications from your cell phone, I couldn't recommend any other watch but this watch. Thanks, guys. I hope you found this useful. If you did, throw up a like or subscribe. Until next time, see you later.